last at Bundy Smash was we had the contract for every Tesla in Bundy.
It's the total different. Yeah. Everything about them, from opening the door to how you start them to the drive, is just
tricky.
It's not like any other car. It's like unique.
But the good thing is because they've only got like 3 models of car. Yeah. Once you've worked on like
3 cars,
a bunch of them, like you basically know how to do it. Like I could get the front bumper off of a Model S with my eyes closed now. Like just easy. They're actually put together pretty well.
Yeah.
But not very good materials, but well put together in a way that you can pull it apart and put it together easily.
So that's just one thing that he's done, isn't it? Like
that's
so
right.
many things that he's
There's
done.
everything else.
Yeah.
As a panel beater though, what were your thoughts on the Cybertruck?
You can't panel beat it. It's hardened stainless steel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I didn't mind the look of it, but I've heard things that are not so great about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got their issues. But they've also got their really strong points, like their towing and their power. Like,
did you see Jerry Rig post repairing his? And it's literally like a glue adhesive. So it's not like bolted together in parts.
Yeah.
Like panels are just like glued together.
Panels glued on and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd be surprised at what gets double taped and double-sided tape.
That's right. That's right.
If it looks right, it's right.
Most cars have got plastic clips that are just holding them together.
That's right. And they're often designed, especially on Toyotas, designed to break when you've taken them apart because they're the only ones that sell that clip. And so like, well, let's make a clip that you can't take off without breaking so that they have to come back and buy them off of us and we keep making money. Oh, that really peeves me.
Yeah.
And don't make them a universal size. You know, they're all just a little bit different in
That's
size,
right.
so you can't.
Every brand has a different size hole.
Yeah.
So you can't use the...
No.
Well, I find you can use Mazda and Kia clips interchangeably, but that's basically the only one. Yeah.
It's definitely a throwaway culture. We got a pile of plastic bumpers in there. It's would fill this room easily.
Yeah, for sure.
Pull off, put new ones on.
And then you've got companies like,
And we can't get rid of them.
yeah, I don't understand why we can't get rid. It's just building and building. We've got a literal pile the size of this room of plastic bumpers.
Ridiculous.
No one wants them.
Yeah,
Can't recycle.
Tip won't take them. I don't know. We need to. If you know of a plastic recycler,
Does Archon take them or they just do metals?
I have no idea who that is.
Archon's
We're
over
both
east
too
on
new to
Steptoe.
Bundy.
Steptoe Street. But they mostly do metals. But yeah, I don't know.
I was going to say like Mitsubishi, and they like claim to be like they care about the environment and stuff. But if you order
On their website.
Yeah, that's right. If you order 20 plastic clips from them, they'll send them to you in 20 individual baggies about that big, plastic bags. And like the worst plastic you can imagine, the type that's really thin and stretchy, but never degrades.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, this is awful for the environment. What are you doing?
perfect like turtle head size.
Perfect for a fish to eat, you know? Far out.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that peeves me. But anyway.
So I everything's on record. So
Oh, we're going?
yeah, we're
cool.
we're on effectively at
Nice.
this point. So
Game on.
Okay, well, this is Rick.
Mhm.
I work with him. That's why we're talking about panel meeting.
Yes.
Yep.
Hi everyone. I'm Rick.
well said. Well said.
So we came up with the idea of inviting on one of our friends who's not a Christian, so that you can sort of that's
Yes,
you.
yes, you.
Although you did say praise the Lord just before, so I'm starting to doubt. Did you just
He's
say that you weren't a
gaslighting.
Christian so you could get on here?
I just knew it'd be a hit with you guys.
It was.
Work in the room.
Yeah, that's it. That's a talent, man. That's a talent.
We wanted to get someone on who wasn't a Christian so that we could talk with them, and because if there's anyone who listens to this who's not a Christian, we don't really know what their questions are, what they would want to know. So we thought, we'll get someone on.
Have the opportunity,
Have
learn
the
from each other,
opportunity,
have some dialogue.
That's
And
right.
I'll just throw out there that I am not prepared with anything, so
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Neither are we.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page.
but thank you for having me.
That's great, Rick. Just to give us a little bit of context. If you had to divide your life up into chapters, like what would be the chapter headings? If I was reading through the index.
What do you mean?
So, as in, like, what are the major key points of your life? Like, what careers have you had, or like, what are the things that make Rick Rick?
I've had an interesting one. We could dive in there.
Yeah,
But,
and we may do.
well, I started off doing my panel beating apprenticeship. I grew up on the Gold Coast first, of course, but yeah, panel beating apprenticeship, which I didn't fall into. It was just sort of something to do in the small town, Tasmania, that, kept me out of trouble, I guess, so to speak. Then once I finished that and I'd done up my first car, I drove it up from Tasmania back to the Gold Coast and started partying, as you do as I was in my early 20s, I suppose. And fell into DJing, basically, and then 15 years disappeared very quickly. 5 nights a week in the club listening to kick drums. But, so I did that and then came out of that. Admittedly, I got myself into a bit of trouble, so changed career, went to I started a landscaping business. So, but the DJing business went well. I ended up having 8 DJs working for me, and we pretty much had the Gold Coast, Brisbane area sort of wrapped up.
Yeah.
So I started a landscaping business, which my heart wasn't into. Whilst I was doing that, I was buying repairable write-off cars and sort of working on them, and then it just snowballed from that. I got a small shed, sort of backed off from the landscaping a bit, and then that small shed had to get bigger and bigger, and then a panel shop came up for sale. Bought that. Then 3 years later, went like 7 times the size.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, COVID hit, and I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
So that put a halt to things rather quickly. And now I'm sort of starting again, working for someone else. Panel beating,
Yeah. So, so it sounds to me like the things that have caught your interest have been, the music, cars, like that's kind of the area that you are most interested. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way it went. I was admittedly, I was partying a lot and going out to clubs, and I just thought to myself, how can I get paid to do this?
Yeah.
That
It's a really logical bunch of questions.
that was the way to do it, DJ,
Yeah.
I could just go and party and play all my favourite songs and, have a ball, get paid for it.
It's the equivalent of like having the remote control. It's sort of like I can just make this party what I want this party to be at this point. So.
I'm going to have to hand over my my little speaker that I play in the mornings over to you.
I'm happily retired. Happily retired. Yeah.
Very cool. So I guess we're talking in the context of faith. You're not a Christian, so did you have have you had any experiences with faith or religion, or is it something that you've essentially been insulated from? Like, did your parents have any particular faith? Like, what was your background there?
I've actually been not a lot to do with it at all. My father, after he separated with my mother, I was in my late teens, I suppose.
Yeah.
I didn't see him a great deal, but like I wasn't living with him. He became a born-again Christian, I guess you'd call it, and him and his wife and my half-siblings with them sort of dived in for probably 5 or so years, real heavy into, Christianity. But I wasn't there with them, so that's about the only exposure I've had to it. Growing up, it was... I didn't even know about it, basically. Like it was,
Do you believe that there's a God?
I believe there's definitely something.
Yep.
I don't know whether I believe there's a God. I probably have more, belief in that it's the universe or something like that. I don't know. I believe you've got to. I believe God is sort of like a conscience. You got to do right. You got to do good. I guess, Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know what it is I believe in.
Yeah.
Do you, that's a very, very common position to take in Western civilization is, I think there's something. I don't know what it is, I guess you'd call that agnostic?
Agnostic, yeah.
That almost sounds like, I don't know.
Like antagonistic?
Yeah.
No, it's sort of like atheist says there's nothing, we evolved from mud.
Pure material.
And
Pure
when
matter.
you die, nothing happens. You'll disappear forever. And then agnostic says,
there's room for me to be wrong.
That's right. I don't really subscribe to the religious
So
ideas.
what do
of
you
the
believe
God
when
or
you
whatnot.
die? What
Oh well, we obviously believe that you're dead when you die.
Yeah.
The Bible's very clear on the dead.
Go to
know
heaven or
nothing.
hell, I suppose. Is that?
No, well,
You
that's
said obviously there. There is no
Yeah, it's
obviously
not
in that
obvious,
statement. It's
isn't
not that
it?
obvious.
As soon as I said that, I was like, oh, actually,
That's a
it's
really
very
not a great way to start that line.
Oh.
So when we believe when you die, your consciousness, at least for the time, ends at that point. We also believe that Jesus will come back. There's a lot of promises in the Bible that he will come back, and when he comes back, he will raise those who have been his followers back to life. And so we believe at that point we will be taken to heaven when he comes back at that point at the end of Earth's history.
So do you know much about the Bible? Like,
Absolutely nothing.
so the Bible's broken up into two main sections. You got the Old Testament that was written before Jesus came.
By who?
Oh,
By a lot of
many,
people.
40
many
different people.
like
Yeah.
heaps of different people over the span of probably 2,500 to 3,000 years. I don't know. I haven't
Actually not that much.
Probably not that much.
yeah, it's
'cause
al-
it was
About
like
1,000, I thought.
Yeah, it's about I think it's about 1600 for the whole
from
Bible.
Moses till
Yeah.
the minor prophets. Yeah, wouldn't have been that long. Yeah, over a period of time, the Old Testament was written, and basically the whole Old Testament is written to say that Jesus is coming or the Messiah is coming. It wasn't called Jesus yet; it was saying the Messiah is coming, and then the second half of the Bible is called the New Testament, and a vast majority of that is saying he's coming back.
Or
And,
he came.
Yeah, he came.
And now he's coming back.
And now he's coming back.
Yeah.
That's right. And he came the first time, and so we believe that he'll come the second time as well.
To do like for what reason?
To eradicate evil.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Is that what he did last time?
So
no.
this
Well,
is
yeah.
yeah. Okay, so this isn't as unclear as it sounds right now. So the whole Bible pointing to Jesus coming the first time is essentially saying sin is all of this bad stuff that's going on in the world, all of the evil, all of the suffering that everybody is going through. Yep. We are looking for the Messiah who's going to come and make that right and make that go away. The problem was the people who that message was given to, and they were sort of made the keepers of that message. Like, okay, you need to tell people that this is going to happen, so when the Messiah comes, they recognize him when he arrives. The plot twist is they misunderstand the message, and they say, oh, yes, the Messiah is going to come and he's going to fix it, but he's going to fix it immediately. What the Bible actually says is that he's going to come and he's going to die at that point, right? And that is a part of the solution. And the reason that's a part of the solution is because sin itself is what he is fighting against. And the only way for that to be dealt with is for a sacrifice to occur. And he is the only one that can rightfully be sacrificed because he is the only one who is without sin. He was the creator at the beginning. We can't die for our own sins because we're already in debt, so to speak. I've done bad things. You've done bad things. You've done things that you regret, right? So we can't save ourselves. There has to be someone that's outside of the matrix, so to speak, to be able to save the people that are in the matrix.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so can't you ask for
go.
Can't you ask for forgiveness or whatever? Like, isn't that part of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
So forgiveness is good, and it's something that we should do. But it's like at the end of the day, that's not what's going to save you. So if
our forgiveness is predicated on Jesus dying,
that's right.
Because if he didn't die on our behalf, then we have no right to forgiveness. He can't forgive us if he hadn't died for us.
So how do you think one gets into heaven?
That's a good
to get into heaven. If there was a heaven, I don't know that there is, but yeah.
Yeah, but hypothetically.
Okay, my belief. Well, yeah, right. I would think that if they're a good person, they believe they're a good person, they've done good things, which, obviously if you hurt someone, you do something like that unintentionally, of course, it's not a meant thing, but, you and I know that we did something wrong.
Yeah.
We've, it's not the right thing to do.
So you live a good life, God will recognize that and let you in?
Yeah, I guess.
That's a very common belief.
Yeah.
Like that's what most people think. Oh, if I live a good life, I'll get into heaven. But the problem is no one has lived a good life. If the standard for heaven is perfection, which the Bible says you have to be perfect, right? You have to be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect.
Does it?
And then it says that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, right? And so if the wages of sin is
So
death,
no one's getting into heaven, you're saying?
well, nobody deserves to get into heaven.
Right.
But
And yet you still follow.
But, well, the
plot twist is coming.
plot twist is coming. So what you would have to have is someone who did live a perfect life to die on your behalf and to take the punishment for you.
And by perfect life, you mean what
Sinless.
they say in there is a perfect life, not what, say, I feel is a perfect life.
No, like a sinless life. Like
Okay,
never
but it
hurt
defines what sin
anyone
is,
or-
right? So,
yeah,
so
like-
the Bible gives us essentially the definition that is given is the Ten Commandments. And so the Ten Commandments it happens really early in the Bible, and literally God speaks to Moses and tells him to write this down. And he gives him the list of what it looks like to be in right relationship to God and what it looks like to be in right relationship to the people around you. Basically, it is living that perfect life, no lying, no killing. And then Jesus actually expands on this later, like, a couple of thousand years down the track. He actually says, when I said, thou shalt not murder, what I actually mean by that is you can't even hate your brother because
If you wish
they
him
were dead,
dead,
it's the same as far as I'm concerned, it's the same as you killing them.
So it's often referred to as the law of love because the first four are all about loving God, right? So it's, don't worship anyone else. Don't make any idols to worship. Don't take the Lord's name in vain, and then keep the Sabbath. And then it goes into, love your family, honor your father and mother. And then it goes into love your neighbors, don't lie, cheat, steal. And
Be
then,
a good citizen.
Yeah, and then it says, and then it goes into the love of things, and it basically says, don't love things too much, to the point that you wish you had everyone else's stuff.
Don't covet.
Don't covet. So the universe that God had set up before sin entered, and when sin entered, it was like a disease that spread.
That's from Adam and Eve.
From Adam and Eve, tempted by the devil Satan.
Or the apple, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Often depicted as an apple. Yeah.
Okay.
It essentially plunged the world into a separation from God. So if you have sin in your life, the presence of God will kill you. You'll just die, right? Because He's so perfect and holy, and so it caused all of humanity to be separated from God, and God's like, okay. Oh, it goes deeper than this, though. I'm going to go way back, right?
Yeah.
So it all started when the devil in heaven, his name was Lucifer.
So hang on just for a sec. You guys are all on the same page with what he's saying?
Yes.
Pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, pretty well.
If I say something wrong, just jump in.
I know we're doing this a little bit. I think that's part of the problem. We're kind of got to start at the beginning.
Yeah. And I think that's what he just did. I was about to
we
jump
do
in
need to
and
go
say
back to
if we don't
You're going to
understand.
introduce the antagonist.
That's
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Well,
The root cause.
let's start here, right? If I said, where did this come from? This microphone right here, right? You would say, well, someone created it. And that's a logical thing to say. If I said, where'd this beautiful studio that we are in, where'd that come from? Oh, someone built it. And, we know Luke and we know he built it. But if we didn't, we would say, even if we had not known the creator of this microphone or this studio, we would know that it was created by something, because that's just a logical, reasonable thing to assume. And so the
Based on
same
our
thing,
experience.
that's right, based on our experience. And so the same thing can be applied to the universe. You look at the universe and you go, well, where did it come from? We know it had a beginning. And so therefore it has to have a creator, right? As you say, I go, well, what's the story with the creator, right? And luckily he's given us the whole story. And so, I see Luke's turning to Isaiah right now, which is good. The story of the origin of evil is the story of Lucifer. So Lucifer was
An angel.
an angel created by God, and he was placed next to the throne, and he was one of the higher ups in God's kingdom.
Right.
And it says in the Bible that he was the most beautiful of all the angels.
So
That
this is in heaven, is it? Or
This is in
right,
heaven.
Yeah.
He
before mankind, is it?
he was God's most beautiful creation.
Right.
It's the best thing God had ever made, right? And so as a cause of that, and as a cause of like Lucifer being right up there in the command chain, he thought to himself, I could be God. I'm pretty great, right?
So
that's
Lucifer is actually God's son. Is that right?
no.
He was
No.
created by
Yeah,
God.
he was created by
So
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
Same as Adam was created,
Yeah.
but just in heaven instead of like a human.
as an angel.
Yeah.
Right. I'm with ya.
So the first sin was essentially pride.
Okay.
Came into
Or jealousy. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
jealousy, pride,
They're also
the
connected,
love of
right?
self, right? Instead of the love of others. So that the universe that God had set up and the universe and even the planet that he made for Adam and Eve before the fall was one that was based around love being the driving factor of it. And when the love of self came in, well, that's pride, and pride's the opposite of love because it's all about me. It's me, instead of what can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do for others, right? And so Lucifer went like, he convinced a third of the angels of heaven, like, I could do this job, and they all joined on his side, and there was a war
So there was lots
that
of
happened in heaven. Sorry?
lots of angels.
Oh,
was
yeah,
it?
it's
Yeah. So there's like millions
it never
of
says
angels.
how many there
Okay.
are. but-
It doesn't say
says
how many.
that-
It just says that they're virtually innumerable.
Oh, yeah,
There's lots.
uncountable, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the reason why we kind of believe that too, is that because if God's infinite and he's lived infinite time past, and we don't know where, like, well, God doesn't have a beginning, but because he is a God of love and he's a creative being like we are, like we like to make things. So he's been creating, not infinitely because he had to start creating at some point, but he's been creating until we get to our story, which is the story of Earth. So he's got all of these created beings that are inhabiting heaven and all these other planets, like the rest of the
Aliens.
universe, basically. Yeah.
basically, there's
Essentially
a
aliens.
lot of other planets out there.
Lots.
Um,
But so
and-
doesn't that
and
mean
they're
that
all-
something had to create God?
well, no, because they're,
An uncaused cause.
you could
Sorry,
go
yeah.
down that track forever.
Right.
Well, who created the thing that created God? Who created that? Who created that? Who created that? Eventually, you have to accept the fact that there has to be something. There has to be.
Either matter for the Big Bang, because you have to start with matter, or energy to create a bang.
There has to be something that's always existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Like there actually has to be.
There's only two options that you end up with, really, and you can argue about the nature of what God is, but essentially you're either arguing that nothing exploded and became something, which is logically
That's crazy.
yeah, I would really struggle with that. Or you argue that there is a God, and okay, you can have all kinds of discussions about who he is, but there must have been some power that kicked things off.
The evidence definitely points to there being a creator.
See, I go with matter. Matter works for me, but yeah.
Yeah, but there's several dimensions. There's time, space, and matter. And so there has to be something that existed outside of that. Because in order to be infinite, you have to be outside of time, right? In order to... Anyway, we're going... I don't need to explain any of this.
That's physics.
Yeah.
The whole reason that we're in the position that we're in right now, in a broken planet, is because God's character was put on trial.
Not because of COVID.
No. On a very small scale, yes, but on the biggest scale and in the biggest picture that you can look at, God's character was put on trial, and because no one had ever sinned, and no one had ever put God's character into question before, nobody knew whether or not to believe it. Have you ever seen that Ricky Gervais movie, The Invention of Lying?
No.
Essentially. It's not a good movie.
I was going to say, when you mentioned Ricky Gervais, I'm like, okay.
Essentially, the premise of the film is nobody lies in the world, right? He lives in a world where nobody tells a lie. And then he is the first person ever to tell a lie. And everything that he says, they believe. Everybody believes it.
Yeah, because
Because
they've
no
never
one's
seen
ever
it
lied
before.
before.
There's no
right?
comp for
And
it.
so the premise of the film is he can do whatever he wants. He can convince people of anything. Like he told someone, "Oh, I'm an amputee," And they go, oh, wow, like you've got great prosthetics, you know. Like, anyway, it's a comedy, but I wouldn't recommend it. But it illustrates this point that when the first time God's character was put into question, it was very easy for Lucifer to convince people that maybe God wasn't as good as he seemed to be because no one had ever done it before, right?
That's kind of like socialism.
That's right.
It's a great idea until you try it, and then you're starving.
Yes. So
Lucifer wants
God's
to take
got two
over
options, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
God's got two options. He
thinks he can do it better.
he can let Lucifer continue to destroy his entire universe that he's created, or he can destroy Lucifer like that, right? And the whole you got to remember.
He should have just set it up so here.
What?
Well, you can build one here and just we'll have a little
Well,
side
go.
by
Here we
side.
go.
Welcome to it.
Yes, I was going to say, and this is
You are
precisely.
on the same track of thought as he was on.
Yes, this
But
is precisely what
let
happened.
me ask you a question.
Okay.
What was
see
the
where you're going.
premise?
Yep.
What was the premise of the whole universe? What was it built around?
I would never. I'd,
Yeah, I
Well,
think
just-
what
just
you're
said it
getting
before,
at
it was-
is love, right?
It's love,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so if God killed Lucifer right then and there and ended the rebellion, why would people be serving him out of love still?
Oh, yeah, you couldn't do that.
No,
No.
they'd be serving him out of fear.
Because then they'd be like,
And
okay, yes, sir, I don't want to
not
get.
only
I
that,
don't want to
it
get
would actually
Thanos snapped out of
validate-
existence.
And that'd trouble him for the rest of his days, and he's got a long time to.
That's right.
Yeah,
Think
think about that. Yeah, yeah.
And
Welcome to hell.
it would also validate everything that Lucifer had said about
Yeah.
him not being as good as he says
Yeah.
he is, right? So he says, all right, Lucifer, you reckon you can do it better than me? Go on. Show us what you've got, right? And so Lucifer comes down to earth, which was God's presumably freshest creation.
Newest
right?
creation.
Newest creation.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve had only just been made. They, maybe they were literally born yesterday, so you can't really blame them too much.
They
So
felt
he
that.
came down to earth.
He came down
Yeah.
to earth and he took the form of the serpent. And in Genesis, it says that the serpent was the
But
most.
God's never come down to earth. Is that right?
Oh,
God
no, he's
has.
been here heaps of
Yeah,
times. Yeah.
yeah, he has.
So
Okay.
Genesis, when Adam and Eve were created, God used to come and meet with them every afternoon and walk with them and
I
talk
didn't know
with them.
that. So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that was the idea of Earth. He said to Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply, as in have lots of kids, fill the planet. Adam and Eve were built perfect, right? So they were the most perfect human specimens that have ever been made, right? And it's all been
The two people can't fill the
Degenerated.
planet, can they?
well, if they're perfect,
Yeah.
Then they
but
can.
then, how do you get the third lot?
well,
Yeah.
you just interbreed.
Yeah.
And
But
Isn't
that's
that a sin?
But that's okay if the two people are
that was introduced
perfect.
later.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
That's right.
Yeah, but I just want to come back to something Steve was saying because
We've been inbreeding for 6,000 years, and that's why
Sounds like
that's why every generation is worse than the one before it.
And they give Tasmania a hard time.
when you said you were from Tasmania,
I'm
I
not
thought
from Tasmania. See,
that's different.
I've only been there. I went there for a couple of years.
Right.
As soon as you say that,
Yeah.
I've been to Tassie for a few years. Oh, you're Tasmanian.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
inbred.
Yeah.
I get that. I get that look.
Yeah.
Did you want to read that passage?
It's okay. So what I wanted to say that I think it's important in the stream of our understanding right now is that what Steve was just saying about, God coming down and essentially spending time with Adam and Eve, that's important because he was building a relationship with them, right? And so as far as they're concerned, this is God. He made us. He's got our best interests at heart, and they have a intact relationship. When Satan comes in the form of a snake and says to Eve, hey, you want to eat this fruit? The context isn't, hey, let's go and be evil together. The context is, did God, eat this fruit? And she says, no, we're not allowed to eat that fruit because God said don't, and he says, well, did God really say that?
Why weren't they allowed to eat the fruit?
Great question. So when humanity is created,
Yep.
God says, I've given you everything. This is your dominion, right? Go forth and multiply, like you're saying. I only have one rule, and that rule is don't eat from this one particular tree. And the only reason that he gave this rule is not because that tree was poisonous, but because free will is more important to God than anything else, right? He would much prefer somebody to hate him because they had the ability to, rather than to act loving towards him because he programmed them that way, right? So he's given all of his creation free will, the ability to choose. And if he didn't give them a way out, a way to disobey him, he's essentially forcing them to be his little robots. And so he gives them an out. Like, if you want to separate yourself from me, like, this is the way you do it. Like, go and eat from this tree.
Because essentially there was no sin in the world. So
yeah, there was
like
nothing.
they had no proclivity to lying and stealing and cheating and
Because they were
pride,
still perfect.
because they were built perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so
God put the
God was
put it
like,
there.
okay,
Yeah.
well, if they have no opportunity to rebel against me, then love is dead, because
They don't have
it's
any
just-
other choices.
they have no choice but to love me. And if you have no choice but to love something, that's not actually love.
Yeah.
Like, I can program my phone to speak to me and say, you
I
look
love you,
great.
Emerson.
I love you so much. I love your hair. Your chiseled abs. But my phone doesn't actually love me because I told it to say those things.
Some people use the illustration.
That's why he says,
Some have
free
used the
will.
illustration. If you held a gun to a random woman's head and said, "Do you love me?" and she says yes, what are the chances of it being true?
Yeah.
Right. And so this tree is God giving them that like dignity of choice, right? And so when Satan says, "Eat some of this fruit," she's like, "No, we're not allowed to do that." And he said, and he makes the case, God actually is withholding something from you that would be in your best interest. And he says to her, did God really say that? Like, if you eat this, you'll actually become wise like God. You'll know good and evil, and you'll be able to make those decisions for yourself. And so
And so lying is born.
yeah, exactly. And so then she's in the scenario.
That's why Satan is called the father of lies.
Yeah, he has labeled that.
Yeah.
And why you have an Apple phone.
With a bite out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But then when she says, basically, she disconnects from God. She goes, well, I'm going to believe that this snake is telling me the truth, that God is actually trying to stop me from reaching some kind of next level of enlightenment. And so I'm just going to eat the fruit. And so she goes and eats the fruit. But that severs the connection that they have with God from then forward.
And
Yeah.
so
Well, she wouldn't have known any different, would she? In
that's right.
theory.
Like I said, they may have literally been born yesterday.
We don't know how long they were alive before that happened. Yeah.
But anyway,
I think
it's just a fun joke.
the first thing that he asked them to do was name the animals. Probably took them more than a day.
Yeah, well, Adam, anyway.
Yeah.
Eve might have been born yesterday.
Well, anyway.
Anyway,
Irrelevant.
Speculation town.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. You got any questions so far?
Plenty, but let's just keep going.
Okay.
I'm trying to
Okay.
get the grasp on the
So,
story.
Yeah.
So now Satan has his own planet, right?
And can I just explain why?
Yes.
Because
Explain why.
if shut up, Steve. What are you laughing at me for?
I just love you too. You're confusing each other.
Well, he keeps missing things.
Well, he's got Eve. He hasn't got Adam yet, has he?
So, this is the thing. Adam is with her, and she goes, "Hey, this was great. You have some." And he says, "Yes, dear."
Women. No. I'm joking.
So we don't want the hate comments. Please.
Yeah, that was a joke. Not a good one.
So yes, so Adam is in the same
He
boat,
chooses
right?
he chooses Eve over obedience to God.
Yeah, because he knows,
And
right?
the whole race falls at that point. So
Knows how much trouble you'll get in.
Yeah.
until Adam falls, the human race still has hope because Eve's the only one who's fallen. But Adam chooses Eve over his relationship with God, and that's when the whole race falls. And this is where what Emerson was saying takes place, because Adam was Earth's representative and was he wasn't the king, but he was like the representative of Earth to God, right?
But yeah, he's the only one.
Yeah,
Still isn't
he's
he?
the-
God gave it to him.
The
So
ranking
this is-
human.
You got to understand the entire population of the Earth right now is just sinned.
Yeah.
Because there's only two of them.
So that hands over their rulership to Satan because they've chosen to listen to him instead of God.
They've
so
aligned
Satan says, "All
themselves.
right, now I'm the representative of Earth, and from here on out, this is Satan's opportunity." Paul is one of Jesus' very early followers. He actually calls the Earth. He uses the Greek word theatron. basically the theater on which all of these other planets are looking in and seeing what happens when sin rules and what the consequences of that are.
Yeah.
And we've seen that throughout history.
Yeah, is separation from God actually better than living in the universe that he created the way he created it?
So, and all that has created the Bible, really?
Pretty much.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so throughout history, from this point forward that we're talking about now, God, the Old Testament, most of the Old Testament is basically detailing the history of how God preserved his message, right? The truth about what we're talking about right now, like how that message got passed on. And the way he did that through the majority of the Old Testament is he picked a family. And I won't go into all of the details of his story, but he picks this guy called Abraham, because Abraham, he desires something better. He's got a heart that's kind of pointed towards God, if you like. And he says, Abraham, I'm gonna call you out from where you are, and you're gonna be my guy, and we're gonna be friends. And so he teaches Abraham. Abraham is, he has this big family. He grows, and eventually his grandson, his name's Jacob, he has 12 sons, and they are the original, that's the tribes of Israel, right? So
this is obviously
Israel.
way later. Obviously,
This is,
Adam and Eve.
we just skipped a few thousand years. Yeah.
Right, this is about,
Yeah, a
massive
couple of thousand
population now.
Yeah.
Sort of,
about 1,500 years after. Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
sorry.
roughly.
No, you're right. Great question. So, and then these people are passing this story that we're talking about now. They're passing it on generation after generation, and they're looking for this Messiah figure. God finds a way to communicate with his people by prophets, and a prophet is really just a label for a person that gets a message from God and then gives it to the people that God sends it to. That's really all that is.
How do we know that Satan hasn't done the book?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a very good question.
How do you answer?
Basically,
If it's written by so many people,
Mm-hmm.
different authors,
everything that humans desire is everything that we want naturally. This tells you the opposite of it.
yeah.
Right? And so I think that's a very good argument.
I would say the better argument
Yeah.
would be
That was the first one that came to my mind.
Yeah. Well, the reason people have said to me specifically, you as an individual, why do you actually believe that this is real? And I think for me, I reason from the basis of the story that we've just told. I think that's important. But the reason that I find it compelling is that there are these prophets that appear in Scripture, and they forecast things that are going to happen that are far in the future by hundreds and in some cases thousands of years, that are fulfilled with complete exactness.
But you're getting all of this from a book that's written in the past, about the past.
No.
Right.
No, not necessarily. So as an example, there's a prophecy that's written in here about the fact that there would be the Messiah, that Jesus would come, and there's over 300 references to when the Messiah is here, he will do this. He will go to this place. He will be treated in this manner. He will be this. He will be that. There's literally over 300 of them. But the people have mapped this out, and
but it hasn't happened. I mean,
Not
every
yet
single one of them
happened,
has.
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
We're getting all this from a book that's written about stuff in the past.
Yeah,
That nothing's actually happened in real time.
So this book, this part of the book that Luke's got open now is part of the Old Testament, and Isaiah he's basically the poetic prophet, but he talks a lot about Jesus.
Yep.
The Dead Sea Scrolls were found, what was it, 1900, 1980?
Yeah.
Something very recently.
1914.
Right.
They date back to,
900s.
I think it's like 600 or 800 BC.
Okay.
So they basically predate Jesus coming. So basically our whole dating system is set up. So historically...
Sorry, I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Right.
So explain.
Yeah. So I'll just explain about dates, and then we'll come back to the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
Jesus as a human being has more historical evidence than Alexander the Great. Okay. So for him to exist as a human being, historically, you can't really refute it. So we've got Jesus, and we've got to figure out what to do with him, right?
Yeah.
So
when Jesus came down, because he was such an incredible personality, his life was catalogued in very great detail by his disciples.
no, and people who hated him.
And
So we've got Roman
everybody
records.
wrote about him.
Yeah, we've got records about Jesus that tell us things that we know from the Bible, but from external sources as well
that's right.
that were
So-
writing against him.
So
The people
essentially,
who went pro-Jesus.
he was.
Yes. So all people in the past that have written it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same as any other historical figure. So we've got Jesus, and we've got to figure out what to do with him. But basically, our whole dating scheme, if you believe him or not, is based around that. So basically, 2,000 years after Jesus, we find these set of writings, and the Book of Isaiah was part of it. And they date back to, I forget, we can Google it, but it's 6 to 800 BC, which is 800 years before Jesus came.
Okay, so when you say we find them, what do you
So
mean?
there was literally some kids herding their goats in the Middle East, and they threw some rocks into this cave and heard some pottery breaking, and they walked up into the cave and found all of these sealed clay jars
Right.
and I think the scrolls, you can go see them in Israel today. They've actually like turned to stone, some of them, and they've had to like scan them to get they've got fancy science stuff to try and actually read what's on these scrolls. Some of them they've got the Isaiah scroll actually rolled out. And I forget how round it is, like 10 meters round. They got this big room,
and so on that scroll,
it has the same
stuff.
words.
It's
as
in the
this.
Bible. Okay, yeah, cool.
So and then the events that those scrolls are talking about happen like 800 years later. So we know at the very least that we've got hundreds of years where these words were written and recorded to some of them happening. So that adds a fair bit of weight, at least in my opinion, to what they're saying. It's not, and
At least it's something. Yeah, definitely.
That's right.
because you don't want, like, I know what you're saying. You don't want someone to say, you're like, your tree falls over and you go, oh, we thought that on this date the tree would fall
Satan
over.
made
And
the
then
tree fall over.
Yes.
And
Here we
It's
go.
like
Put it in there.
backdate on your diary.
It's like me if I write a history of World War II and then say, "Oh, this was written 200 years before. I just found it."
Yeah.
That's sort of where I was like,
Yeah.
hang on.
No, I get the argument.
It's a good criticism.
I get the argument. It's
good
but yeah.
Just a little.
Fortunately,
just a little
we
interlude
have
here.
a lot of evidence to say,
Yeah.
we've got dates as to when things were written.
Right.
Yeah, and just a little interlude here, Rick. I love your questioning because this is so helpful because for us, this is stuff that we've talked about in the past and we're really familiar with. And so when someone comes in and throws a question, like I would not, because I have got to the place where I have accepted that, I'm blind to some of the questions that you're asking. And so when you ask them, it's like, oh, great, we can actually
Think about
wrestle
it.
with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is great.
And you guys are all on the same page. It's like, it's pretty crazy to see. Like, but I guess you study it.
We've been going, like I said to you.
We're all
today,
generational Adventists.
I'm not. Sorry.
Your parents are Adventists?
Yeah, but I was like, as in, I remember them getting baptized. As in, they weren't baptized.
fair.
They weren't Adventists when I was a kid.
We've all been going to church
Decades.
for a long time, and that's essentially like if you were to take a class once
We're
a week
indoctrinated.
on one subject for your whole life, you'd know a lot about it. you know?
Yeah.
And we love the Bible. We read it a lot. But yeah, so essentially we have very solid dates on a lot of these prophecies, and then we can very clearly see them being fulfilled, after the fact.
Yeah.
And so God's claim in the Bible is, I am the Lord your God, and I know the beginning from the end. And this is how you know that I am the Lord, because I know the beginning from the end, right? And so he's basically saying, I know everything that happened in the past exactly, and I know everything that's going to happen in the future exactly. And that's how you can trust me that I am God. And just to prove it, I'm going to talk to the prophets and say, these are the things that are going to happen in the future, write them down. So that us now, we don't have to have as strong of a faith in what he says, because we can actually see it all fulfilled.
Very complicated, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, there's a
Much
There's a
easier
prophecy
just to
in,
be like believing in love, or
he's thought
believing in
everything
being
through.
good.
He's thought it all through pretty well.
Yeah, and
There's a prophecy in Daniel chapter 2 that essentially,
before
at
you
the
go there,
end of
because
it-
I think that's important, but can I just say something first? Because I just want to answer. You just pointed out the fact this is really complicated. It is. The beautiful thing is that salvation itself, like what it takes to be saved, is not complicated at all.
So when you say salvation, you mean when you die, you go to heaven.
You're going to get
that's
to get
salvation, is it?
Yeah, that's what we. Yeah, that's again. See, I'm using like in-house language. Yeah, that's what that means. To be saved is like to be in right relationship with God, so you don't die and just fall out of existence forever.
Right.
That
So you believe you'll be in heaven.
yes, as a conscious living being, living a good life, worshiping God, spending time with my family and my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as opposed to
If-
nothing.
being dead.
Yeah,
Nothing,
as
yeah.
opposed to
Or-
nothingness. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't burn in hell.
We
or
don't
something.
believe in that.
Okay.
There,
Why not?
there's passages in the Bible that talk about the burning, right? but the burning, as I read it, and there's a lot. We actually did a series on this. Like so if anyone's interested who's watching, feel free to like return to that. But
yeah, I just said burning because that's
what most people say.
Yeah,
it's a traditional view.
Yeah.
The way it frames it is that there will be a burning, but that will be like that's the cleaning crew, right? That's everybody who has rejected Christ has been allowed to cease to exist, and they are burned, and that's it. They're gone. It's
not eternal torment.
It's not eternal torment.
Purged with fire.
Yeah, purged. That's a better word.
Chained down there shoveling.
No.
Yeah, no.
Coal or something like that. Yeah.
And also think about it. Like, I mean, even if you were to create a god, actually, this is a fun question, Rick. If you could, like, wave a magic wand and create the ideal kind of god for you, like, I mean, right. Based on how you view reality out there. And you were going to say, I'm going to make a god.
Yeah.
What would that god look like? What would his character qualities be? How would he deal with the world?
Oh, wow, that's a big one.
It is a big question.
Yeah,
Huge question.
I only deal in such questions, Steve.
Yeah. I don't know whether I can spit that out just on the spot.
That's all right. You can defer it. That's fine. But I just think it would be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you know what your god looks like?
Well, I have studied enough to get to the place where I believe that the picture of God that's displayed here is the most beautiful picture of that I could imagine. Mm. So I'm comfortable with this God being the God that I would pick for myself. But the reason that I ask,
when you say pictured here, you mean
as in like if you read the Bible in its totality and understand it, not just like a surface brush over. Like that's what I mean by that.
So you want me to spit out my Bible, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now I give you the truth.
Yeah. Like, I'll show my hand though. The reason that I ask this is that a lot of people that I would say fall more into the atheist camp, where they're like, there's no God, there's definitely nothing, and I hate that God. You're right. I've heard people say this.
Such a strong word.
Yeah, I know, right? But
they hate the God that they claim not to believe in.
I got it out of my life a long time ago.
Yeah.
I can feel the weight of it every time you guys say it.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, that's really cool. I appreciate you saying that. But the people that feel that real strong distaste, often when you ask them what kind of a God they think there is, they will describe a God that doesn't match up with what the Bible teaches at all, and they say this is the God that I have a problem with, which is not reality. And so usually, if they will then say, well, if God was the kind of God that I think would be a just God, and they describe him, often it's much more in line with what I believe the Bible to actually be teaching about God. And so I think it's interesting that people are not necessarily reacting to the God who actually exists. They're reacting to who they think he is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I can answer your question then.
Okay.
My picture of my perfect God would be me, as in me being the perfect person that I can be. That
the best version of you,
doing the right thing. Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's the way I walk my life. I guess I know when, like I said earlier, I know when something's not right or something. Yeah,
Your conscience kicks in.
Yeah, and I beat myself up about it. And, okay, you got to do an extra hour tomorrow or whatever. Whatever the case. Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that because the Bible describes that conscience, that sense of right and wrong as being the Holy Spirit. So, like, from my perspective, my what I would understand about what you just said, how I would interpret that through my lens that I'm looking at the world through, is that the Holy Spirit is talking to you, right? That you're going through your life, and God is in some tangible way saying, Rick, this is the right thing, and you're going, yeah, like I agree, and I'm doing this thing, right? And that's you working in harmony with God.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, that's one way to look at it. I guess. Yeah.
I think one of the cool points so we told you about the start of the story, at least as far as the Bible teaches it, in that we've got Adam and Eve in the garden with God, right? So that's paradise. Like that's the ideal. Now, not everyone may like gardening, but the ideal being that you're there.
It's Adam and Eve's perfect ideal.
Yeah. You're in a beautiful spot with the people you love, with a God who cares about you, right? That's the ideal. And then we see that through the story, sin breaks the process down, and a lot of bad stuff happens. Like Luke and I are history nuts. I think Emerson is too. Like, we love our history. Like, you read some of the stories from the last century with the wars. It's horrific. Like sin, or just humans in general can do really bad stuff. So we all hope that there's something better. But
it's funny that a lot of it's justified by religion. You know,
that's bad.
Yeah.
But the cool thing, at least how the Bible ends, is it literally ends the same way it begins. It ends with the people who want to be with God, with the people that they love in a beautiful spot. Like, that's how the story ends. And basically, the only thing between the beginning and the end is God coming down and fixing the mess that we made, allowing us, if we want to, and it's an opt-in situation. It's not a God saying, you've been a bad boy, I'm going to smack you. It's you saying, hey, God, I know I'm a bad person. I need you. Can you come and help me? Like you say, let me, like, help me be the person that you want me to be, because I can't do it on my own. Yeah. And like you were talking about forgiveness earlier.
Well, you can, really, because,
that's fair.
You just got God on you, you know, you're saying you've got God, your conscience or whatever, but you...
So I think this is fundamentally... it's fun. I have a fundamental point of difference here, and that is that I think you hear this a lot with people that are interested in, like, the New Age kind of, you know, crystals and, you know, that kind of thing. This idea of, you know, the God being within you and you have the power and whatever. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I'm saying there's a lot of people that think this.
I just came up with that on the spot, so yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But I think one of the foundational things about Christianity is that we recognize, like Steve was saying, that we're incapable ourselves of producing those good things. Any good things that come through something that we've done is as a result of the Holy Spirit moving our conscience toward doing the right thing. Because if we were just left to our own devices, like, I think, you know, we could all say we've messed things up in our own life as a result of being left to our own devices. We haven't ever we might make better decisions, but, you know, would you say you've ever gone, like, years and I've just never made a wrong choice? Like, it's just been, you know, perfect all the way through, you know?
I think I think Christianity teaches that even if we're on that path of getting better and better and better and we're approaching perfection, that is the goal, but there's still failings in our past that we can't...
You can't go back in time and change.
Yeah, like, we've hurt people in a way that, because we're humans, we can't fix. Like, if, you know... like, it's a drastic example, but, you know, if you're driving, accidentally hit someone and they pass away, you can't fix that. Like, that's something that you as a human being have to live with, and the consequences are impacting other people. Like, we can't fix that. So someone else or something else has to step in and fix that. So we rely on the power of God to do that. And at the end, if we've chosen God, then we get to be like the beginning of the story. Like, it ends how it begins.
Yeah, and
I think that's
this
really
sort of
cool.
goes back to what I was saying to you right at the beginning, which was like, how do you think you can get it? How do you think one gets into heaven? And you said, you got to be a good person, which is a common answer. But then I said, well, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So if doing good, living a perfect life gets you into heaven, well, good, start living a perfect life. But there's a problem with that. You're still going to be accountable to the sins that you've done in the past. If you get to Judgment Day, right, if God's the judge and you, at the end of your life, you stand before him and he asks you, well, why should I let you into heaven? And you say, oh, well, I lived a perfect life from when I was 25 years old onwards. You know, is that good enough?
But I own what I did before that, you know, like... I know it to be wrong, I guess, you know. Like,
yeah, that's right. But if you went to an actual courtroom and you had done something wrong and you said,
if you killed a person 25 years ago, but then you stopped killing people.
You should let me off just because I'm really sorry for what I did and I'm not going to do it again. Like, that's not how justice works, you know? Yeah. Like, that's mercy and forgiveness.
So if someone did
and that's
something
good,
bad,
but there's no justice
you
in
punished
that,
them,
right?
You
And God is a merciful God, but he's also a just God, right? If you go... If you get to that same Judgment Day and God says, well, should I let you into heaven or should you die for the sins that you've committed? And you say, you should let me into heaven because actually Jesus died for the sins that I've committed and I accept him.
Oh, really? Can you do that?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do that. That's the gospel.
That-
That's the good news.
Yeah, that is
Wow.
the good news.
Yeah, and he says, okay, very
So
good.
old
come
mate
on
that's
in.
murdered his neighbour
hmm
could go in and just blame it on Jesus.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
No, not blame
not
it on
blame-
Jesus. But,
Well,
but,
you know,
but,
get off on it
but
because
the fact of the good
There's
news,
a loophole there in the court
when you
system.
understand the good news of the gospel, which is Jesus died for your sins so that you don't have to be responsible for those sins, like on the judgment day. Like when you understand that and you accept Jesus and you say, okay, I'm going to put my trust in Jesus because he's the only path into heaven. That information actually changes you as a person. And I've seen it happen.
but couldn't
it's
that just
happened to
mean that
me
you can go
several
out and
times.
sin now?
Ah, yes.
See, well, this is what I'm saying. That information actually changes you to the point where you no longer enjoy sin. Because thank you. Because we as people, we have this natural proclivity to wrongdoing, and it's just a product of the world that we live in.
I don't understand that. What do you mean? Like, so if you get out of jail free card from Jesus, it makes you not want to sin. Are you saying?
Yeah.
And
So-
just to add some
Yeah.
perspective to that, the way the Bible paints that is that when we use language like when we accept Jesus, what that means is I believe that what the Bible says is true, and when it says that Jesus died as a payment for the sins that I committed,
Payment to who?
payment to justice itself, if you like, to God. So what I'm meaning is there has to be someone to receive the consequences of an action, right? You can jump off the roof and, like it or not, the consequences of that action is going to be hitting the floor, right? You're going to break a leg or something.
Yeah.
Humanity jumped off the metaphoric roof when it brought sin into our psyche and how we operate by separating ourselves from God. If God is the one that provides the life itself to us, and you snip the cord, then that life goes away. The only reason that life didn't go away is because God gives every human being probationary time. We have time to live our lives and make a decision. Do we want to follow after his kingdom and how he operates, or do we want to follow Satan and how his kingdom operates? Satan's kingdom operates in a whole bunch of very unfair ways, but they're bound to performance. Your value.
I don't
comes from
follow
what you do.
Satan.
Yeah.
No.
Or I
No,
guess I
we're
don't
not-
follow
we're not
God.
saying that you do.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it just seems very complicated.
It
to
is.
me.
And that drives me nuts too.
Like
Yeah.
I inside know.
I feel like we've over-explained things.
I know that. Well, I feel like that I'm going to. I know if there's something that is so bad that it can't be forgiven. Like if I'd done something really terrible, like I don't know, attacked a kid or something like that. Inside, like if there's something you've done that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like that's.
But then what do you do when someone who's directly affected by that forgives you for it?
Well, then aren't they just letting people who
But
bad people into your heaven?
So I'll give you an example. When I lived in Sydney, right before I moved to Newcastle.
You're saying Hannibal Lecter can just go, listen, here's my Jesus get out of jail free card.
I would say
Do you
that.
know who Hannibal Lecter is?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't.
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs killer.
Oh, yeah. Like
so
the,
he can
like the
just he
sicko,
can just
yeah.
go, okay.
Can he? Yes.
Yes,
Do I
he
believe
can.
that he did? No. But the thing
I
is,
get that.
yeah. But here's the. Sorry, you finish. I think your
Yeah,
point's
sorry.
going to make the point.
So when I lived in Sydney, I was right before I moved. My next door neighbor broke into my house and robbed everything that I owned, and even more of the stuff that my housemate owned. Right, took everything we had, $6,000 worth of stuff, and my father's car. Right, and now after that happened, I was very angry, as you would be, very, very, very pissed off. And I had to jump on a train to get back to Newcastle because I didn't have a car because it was stolen. And on the train, I decided in my heart that I've forgiven him. Right? I forgive him for what he did. Right? Do I then say, oh, I'll go to the police and say, no, don't worry about it. He doesn't have to go to prison. No, I don't say that because justice has to be served. He still has to go to jail for what he did, but I can still forgive him. So forgiveness is not a separation from justice. Justice still needs to be served in the midst of forgiveness, right? There's many cases of
So that's
Christian
you. That's you
parents,
answering
right?
to yourself and going, okay, I can forgive this guy.
Like there's many cases that have happened throughout history of like someone has murdered these two people's only child, right? And in a horrible way.
Yeah.
And those two parents are Christians, and they say in the courtroom, they say, "We forgive you for what you've did. Now, take him away."
But you're also saying that guy gets taken away. He can go and sit in his cell and hand his Jesus get out of jail free
But what
card.
happens to that guy?
What do you
He
mean?
breaks down into tears, right? Because the forgiveness, the love that those people have shown affects him.
Well, that one guy maybe, but maybe
Well,
not
it happens
Hannibal.
every time. It happens every time.
Well, not everyone. I think you're right. Not everyone does, but the thing is that if we're looking at it in the sense of Jesus, right? The difference between a Hitler or a Hannibal Lecter and Emerson is large from our perspective, right? So, we're saying that Hitler, he was an evil dude. He did all of these bad things. He killed millions of people, right?
Well, on paper, I didn't see it, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. We weren't there. But what I mean is, like, I pick him because it's like, it's somebody that everyone just agrees, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if we say Hitler, okay, Hitler's a really evil guy, but we wouldn't put Emerson or any of us on the same level as that. But if we read according to Scripture that just hating someone is equal to murdering them, as far as like this perfect standard of love is concerned, then the question between is Hitler better than me or am I better than Hitler? It's really not a question of we're not qualitatively different. He's not a different kind of creature to me. There's a volume difference, right? It's like I might have hated less people than Hitler, and I certainly haven't actioned that to kill anybody, but we both have the same problem. And at the root level, he's a human and I'm a human, and we're flawed, and so we've made decisions that are out of harmony with this love structure that God wants us to live in.
And inside both of you know whether it's something that can be
forgiven.
Yeah,
that's right. And so, but the thing that from Jesus' perspective is, if you you mentioned the card, right? The get out of jail free card. That illustration is helpful, but not complete, in the sense that when we truly are sorry for what we have done, the natural desire is to not do it again, right? That's when you've listened to the conscience. You might have done the bad thing, but if your conscience is directing you towards Jesus, he knows that you're going to only become more and more like him over time. And so it is safe to let you into heaven, because you're only going to become more and more like him the more you pursue him. And so it might seem crazy to us that people who have got large volumes of evil on their account can get forgiven. But from Jesus' perspective, he can see the trajectory that they're on, and it's a trajectory that leads them into being the perfect human beings that he wants them to be. So.
Yeah. No one's
Satan's
too far
child.
from...
Sorry, go.
No one's too far from salvation. Anyone can be saved. You can be in a place
where you don't want it.
Where you say, no, I'm going to completely ignore the Holy Spirit's leading me in the right direction. I'm going to completely ignore every single thing that inkling wants to push me towards, and I'm going to go in the direction of evil, to the point where you can't hear that voice at all. If you can't hear the voice of God at all, well, then he can't save you. And that's basically the only place that you can be where God can't reach you. But you can still come back from that.
I feel like we've gone a lot of places, and
we have gone so many.
We've got so many places, and we're already up to normally where we would start wrapping up on time wise. So
I feel like
what I was
going to say is, Rick,
so
would you?
God is a God of mercy and love, and he wishes that all should come to salvation and repentance, which is, I'm using in-house words again, but like
even Satan.
Well, yeah, even Satan could be saved, but he's not going to be.
As in, like, he's hardened, right?
He's hardened to the place
that's what these guys are saying, is that the only thing that can't be forgiven is willful rejection of God.
That's right. The desire to not be forgiven.
Yeah. So if you know, it's like what you're saying.
God
If
doesn't
you
force
know that-
himself on you.
Yeah,
right?
if you know
if
that
you say,
forgivable.
I don't want anything to do with you, God, he'll be like, all right, I'm off. Right? He doesn't force himself on anybody.
Yeah.
Right? But he says, the Bible says that he stands at the door and he knocks. Right? He's like, let me in, please. I just want to help. But you can ignore it. You can ignore the knocking as much as you want.
But can you
but he
lie
just
to him?
wants
Can
you
you
to-
can one of these Hitlers or whatever lie to him and go, no,
No,
look,
you can't lie to God.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you can't
God
trick him
knows
if that's what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I meant by I can use they can use the get out of jail free card or get out the Jesus free card, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the wrinkle in the story, right? That there's no running. You can't hide. He knows you better than you know you, and so
Which is quite I don't get the whole Jesus has to die for it sort of thing. That seems like a pretty bad thing to do. Isn't Jesus God's son?
yes.
Well, so the rule is, this is the way I've always liked to describe it, right? The rule is the wages of sin is death, right? So if you sin, the punishment is death. You got to die, right? And so who wrote the rule? Well, God wrote the rule. So who's the only one who can take our place? And here's the story I like to use. This is the illustration, right? There's a young governor, right, of a fresh colony. And
Colony, as in like a town.
yeah, like a town,
Right.
right? And in this colony, they have a really, really big problem with stealing, right? And they've always had this problem with stealing. And so he writes a law, right? And he writes the law. Anyone caught stealing for anything, minor or major, is going to get 40 lashes, right? Because he's come in, he's fresh into office. He's like, all right, I'm gonna make some changes here because we got a real problem with stealing. So he writes this law, right? And everyone goes, oh, okay, this new governor of ours doesn't muck around. But the first person who's caught stealing is his elderly mother, right? And so now this governor is stuck in a bad position. He can either stick to his word and whip his elderly mother, in which case the people hate him because he's a monster. Or
It's a very harsh
can-
sort of a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's right. Or he can say, no, I'm letting her off because she's my mother and she's too old. In which case, the people lose respect for him because he's not just, right? It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does he do?
He doesn't make that law in the first place.
well, the law had to be made.
Well, he could do something like possessions aren't yours. We share everything.
No, okay. But anyway, in this story, the
No
law
more
was
stealing,
made,
you know?
right? And we don't have to understand why the law was made, but we do understand that the law was made and that the law is being held to, right? And so what he does is
So
the whole
Surely
of
it's a
his
sin to
colony
hurt
is
people, though.
watching. The whole colony is watching to see what the new governor is going to do. And he goes there, his mother's there, and he walks up, he takes his shirt off, he straps himself to the bar, and he says, you whip me 40 times, I'll take the payment for her, right? How do you think that people will respond to him? Will they think that he's a good governor or a bad governor?
I think that it's his mum's just going to go out and steal again.
I don't think she will.
Yeah, I think she will.
You do?
Well, she
After
got
after watching her son take 40 lashes for
Yeah.
him.
That's the way some people think, I guess.
Yeah, so people do. Yeah.
Well,
Can I?
I think that would have changed her a lot. And I think that the whole colony would go, okay, not only is our governor just, but he's also loving.
Yeah. But he's willing to lash people and hurt them. Isn't that a sin to like lash
Well,
people?
You've got to have justice. And you
I-
can't have crime.
I don't think you're. I think that a better illustration, perhaps, and I see where you're going, but like for the sake of like, let's say you're if we're talking about murder, not just stealing something, right? Let's say he's the governor of a violent place, right? You can't just have everyone. It can't be a free for all. You have to do something to stop the bleeding. And I think the thing about sin, it isn't that it's an arbitrary rule where it's like God's like, you know what, I just really don't like this list of things. The reason that he doesn't like this list of things is because they hurt the people that partake in them.
It hurts the innocent.
It hurts the innocent, right? And so it doesn't matter which of those rules that you break, they're always going to hurt someone. And so God is trying to stop that suffering. And so he says, these are the rules. And he's not saying, well, I want to whip you. Like that's not the point. From God's perspective, it's these are the rules. And so I'm going to give you probationary time. You have a lifetime with which to make a decision. In that lifetime, if you avail yourself of the option, if you say, you know what, I recognize that I am not a good person, like that I need help, and I want to follow God's way, then you have access to infinite power from him in order to live the way that you can see is the right way to live, and you've got an eternity to do that with him. And so the people that choose not to do that, God is not saying, oh well, I'm being punitive here and I'm going to squish you out of existence. He's saying, well, by living that way, they hurt everybody around them and they're hurting themselves. And so therefore the kindest thing is for them to cease to exist for the rest of time. Because allowing them to continue is just more pain and more suffering for them and everyone that's in their vicinity.
That's right. Yeah.
That was well explained. That was a bit, yeah.
I
just got the.
Yeah.
I appreciate the
you're gonna
pushback.
lash someone for that.
Yeah.
Isn't that a sin in itself?
Yeah, but stealing's a sin as well.
See where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an eye for an eye. Like it's probably not. I don't know.
And just for the record, sharing things does not steal them. Does not solve stealing.
Well, if you don't have ownership, you can't have something stolen off you. But
Yeah. So
yes, you can.
how if you don't own anything?
Yeah, but what about food? What if you've got starving people? You say, well,
share.
we're all gonna share, but someone's like, well, not me. I'm really hungry. I'm gonna take more, and that means that more people are gonna go hungry. You can't. It just doesn't work.
There's enough to go around.
There should be.
But if there's just enough to go around and one person steals, that means one person starves.
But there is enough to go around. It's just greed that stops.
I get what you're saying.
yeah. So
Coming from a different angle.
So one thing that I want to come back to, because I think it's really important, and that is, I think the Bible is, or Christianity, the whole structure. If you want to, it's like a car. Here's a good illustration. If you want to understand every single part of a car and how it works and why it works, you can do that, right? You're a car guy.
Yeah.
You understand way more about how a car works than most people would. That is you can choose to do that, but you can still get in the car and you can drive it whether you understand what's under the bonnet or not.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. My assertion is that the gospel is the same, or Christianity is the same. We've done a lot of going under the bonnet and like, okay, this is how this works, and this is what a piston is for, and this we've done a lot of that today. The driving of the car is recognizing that we are imperfect, and being willing to accept that Jesus died so we don't have to, and he did that because we didn't have enough. What's the word I'm looking for? We didn't have perfection in the bank account, so we could pay for our own dues. So he did it for us. And if you understand that, that's it. Like, it's that simple. That's the driving of the car.
It's a free gift.
Yeah.
He's saying, I want to give this to you for free because I love you, and for no other reason.
Yeah.
That
We didn't earn it.
I created you, and I wanted.
But you don't have to understand.
No,
it.
you don't have to. You don't have to understand. Like he
yeah.
said, all of the stuff that we've explained to you, you don't have to understand. The only thing you have to do is go, Jesus, you died for my sins so that I don't have to die for my sins, and I accept that.
But you meaning it, right? Like,
Yeah, and actually meaning.
yeah,
it.
like
Right.
you can't just be playing the card.
Yeah, that's right. Because he'll know.
I guess what I've got from it all is I feel it's best you live your life with love, and follow that. And when it comes to Judgment Day, you're going to know what you didn't live your life out of love with, if you know what I mean. Like, so, yeah. I believe, or I guess I feel that when you're standing in front of the pearly gates, you're actually standing in front of yourself, and you've got to accept what you've done. If you have done it out of the H word, or evil or whatever, you're going to know it when you're standing there.
Yeah. It's all about motives, hey?
Can I read a passage? I've been
Please.
kind of hanging on to it, but I think it fits here now.
Yeah.
So this is talking about that moment. Right?
In front of the gate?
Well,
kind of.
Figuratively.
It's talking about that moment. Yeah. All right. So I think this is a cool passage anyway. All right. So then the king, being God, will say to those on his right hand, "Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." So welcome to heaven, right? "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me." Then the righteous, so those people who choose God, will answer him saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And the king will answer and say to them, "Assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me." And then the flip side of that is the people who don't do those things. So basically,
Living with love.
pretty much, like if you live with God, if you live with love, you're living in accordance
Share
with
it.
God's law.
Yeah.
Right?
Is
And
that
that's
what it's saying, basically? Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what it's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people first.
Yeah, but you can't work your way into heaven.
No,
it's
you
not
can't.
saying that you can work your way
You're
into
not
heaven
earning
by
it.
being. You can't earn heaven by being a good person.
Because we're selfish by nature.
That's right.
Well, yeah. I guess you'll know that on Judgment Day, won't you?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, you know it already now.
So I got a question
know it.
for you just before we do wrap it and
Yeah,
close
yeah.
this one up. Like this has been very much like overview and like, you know, traveling 1,000 kilometers an hour across, you know, 100 different topics.
Yeah.
Would you be open to at some point us like having a part 2, and maybe we'll pick some core thing, we'll give some thought to it or whatever, but some like one so
Yeah,
we can focus on
we
a
need
thing.
to focus on a thing because we've
Yeah.
bounced around way too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
It's very
well-
confusing.
Yeah.
It confused me.
It confused me too, mate. Don't worry. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, come back with part 2.
Yeah, see how it goes down. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I think
has
that
been great.
might
Like,
be wise.
I really appreciate, you know, your questions
Yeah, it was,
and
it was cool.
it was
Yeah.
it was great. Thank you.
No, I've had a ball. It's been good.
awesome.
Great. All right. Well, we'll leave that
Many
there.
more questions, though.
That's right.
We
That's
got a whole
works
week.
this guy.
Got a whole week to think of it.
I don't even need to. I'd just come here and sit down and we can start. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can go anywhere.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
so,
I
great.
feel like we covered maybe one page
Yeah.
of that.
Literally,
Like,
yeah.
that's a hectic encyclopedia.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a really, really crazy book,
Mm.
and there's a reason why it's, you know, the most sold book in the world and the most well-known book in the world. And
Also the most fought over.
most fought-over book in the
Mm.
world. You know,
Yeah.
people in communist countries literally dying to try and get one,
Mm.
because it's just an incredible book. And the more you study, the more you realize that it is the word of God, because no man could have written something so complicated and beautiful and perfectly accurate all the way through.
Mm.
Wow, that was deep, bro.
Yeah.
Should get yourself one. Start reading.
Cool. Well, we're going to leave this episode here. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. And we hope to see you guys next week for another episode. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.